Hey, hey, we're here.
Hello, audience.
There's an
Tell us
audience,
if you can hear us.
and I see audio things happening.
The audio indicators are making little movements.
Yeah, things are going jaggedy. It's good.
Tell us if you can hear us, audience. I don't want to have to launch in the spiel twice.
I have a bird.
Audio things are happening, says Kaichu.
I
Very
present
well.
a bird to you.
In that case, a bird. Also, a stream intro script. Hello, internet friends and the webcomic fans.
Hello.
It's I, the friendly neighborhood dungeon biologist, once again welcoming you to a steamy, heaping helping of trash
Whoa,
heroes.
heck. Hey, hang on. Whoa.
Oh,
I clicked on a thing. I hate it. Please stop.
what happened? What happened?
A pop-up came up and it tried to start Putt Party, which is a new thing that Discord does.
Oh god.
That's
And
fun.
I hate it. Why is it not going away? Please stop it.
It's away on my Discord.
Okay.
Although
not
on the
away on
stream,
the
it's
stream.
still everything's all screwed up on the stream.
Ah, good. Oh boy, how do
Hooray!
I fix this one, y'all?
Discord.
I do not want games ever. Discord, please
Jump
stop.
out. Jump out of the call and jump back in.
Okay,
Oh, I guess
Hang
you
it.
can you?
hang on. I'm
Or is
going
that
to
gonna screw up
break.
OBS?
And then I came back and it fixed it. That was
Yep.
stupid. I hate it. I do not like this
That's
feature
like our
Discord.
universal fix.
I
That's-
love
is
how
that-
like seamlessly Discord does everything until they just arbitrarily decide not to.
Yep.
It's like,
Break it.
oh man, like the servers and the channels and all the notifications work great until Discord wants to tell you that it's its fucking birthday and I have to
Yup.
click through 3 different tabs.
And now nothing works.
Ugh.
Happy birthday, Discord.
Hooray.
Your present is you
My
get to
balls.
fuck with us.
It was literally, I was going to click on the sound thing just to make sure that the sound was still good, and this pop-up came up that was like, do you want to play Putt Party? I was like, no, I don't.
Oh.
Did you fix
I
the
never
recording
do.
levels?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. All right, in that case, where was I? Yes, a steaming, heaping helping of trash heroes. It's the Dungeons and Dragons stream where we recount the epic adventures of a wildly improbable collection of horrible creatures known as trash heroes. Our players, as always, a collection of talented internet cartoonists and various art type peoples. Please check out all of their art things. You can see them in the upper right hand corner. Links to everybody's social mediums and their Patrons and other sorts of ways that you can subscribe to them and give them dollars. Please feed starving artists. And of course, you can support the channel itself. If you go down to the description below the channel, you will find links to the VOD of past streams, as well as links to the Patreon and other ways to support us. Please do register up on the Discord, and of course, if you subscribe to the stream, you are entered into the draw to get original art from our original artists, because that's what artists do. Without further ado, let's meet the characters. First up, Keeper of the Vermin and Protector of the Trash Heap, it's Fetid Quaggle.
That's me, hi.
Next up, the larger-than-life pit fighting superstar, Oogna Sugar Tusks. Oh, you have no sound because of a bird, I guess.
I said, you only get one gun this week because I have a bird. Do not want to
That's
upset
right.
the bird.
Yep, one gun and a preemie bird.
Yes.
Mhm.
Next up is the trickster, cleric, rogue, baker, and all-around party animal that is Tromlin Darioles, who will be joining us shortly. Absent this week is the wild magic streaming sensation, Morgan V. Sater. And finally, our sweet old grandpa, who's also accidentally an ancient warlock, Copernicus Sunshine.
Oops.
Horrifying catchphrase.
Oh, and the crowd goes wild.
Good.
They
Good.
love to hear that one.
Yeah.
Excellent. When we last left our heroes, oh my goodness, the party had arrived in Ravenfall and made their way surreptitiously to a safe house run by the cult of blood sugar sex magic, of which
jail.
Morgan seems to be a member. Is that the first time you caught that? I've
It
mentioned
is,
it a couple
yes.
times.
It's Jeff's favorite.
I was not here
Excellent.
for the last one, so
Excellent.
you fucker.
After taking leave of the Loxodons. Fetid left the group there at the cult house, disappearing into the night and saying he had to something about finding his Quaggle buddies. We then did a bit of a we then did a little bit of a recap about geopolitics with Copernicus, and sort of went over the plan to try unifying the North and other nations against the vile Necrogog. The party then met with Morgan's contact, the Lady Prudenza Direlust, a huge tiefling dominatrix, and began planning their fight between Ugna and the Loxodon champion Kangar. Morgan suggested throwing a big party or series of parties for the local gentry to drum up interest in the fight among the city elite, and Lady Prudenza made a list and a variety of notes about ways that the party can advertise this event. There was a lot of discussion about having Ugna do feats of strength and other sorts of fun things.
I think
and of
specifically
course,
requested by one Morgan.
Indeed, there was a lot of thirst on display. And it also came out that there was maybe some issues because many of the city's elite are people that the party have specifically done horrible things to, or otherwise made enemies of.
They're just the mayor, who I'm going to kill.
And I've lost track of my notes. Prudenza then left the group to chat among themselves, and you filled in Morgan on some of the backstory of Tromlin's family, Ugna's sword, the prophecy of the tower, and so on. And during which Ugna finally realized that she's an adventurer, which I was very, very pleased about.
Very good.
Oops.
Leading Tromlin to reassure her. The party then went out to the Citadel of Ravenfall to deliver Copernicus's gift to the Lady Nightshade. And on the way, Tromlin spotted a red-eyed raven up on the Citadel watching the party approach, and was planning to cast a guiding bolt on it when the party was ambushed by a gas bomb attack, and Tromlin was struck by a poison dart, and the party fought off a bunch of assassins, killing one of them and capturing another, who it turns out was a lizard man named Kermit. The party then went to one of Morgan's safe houses to question the assassins and found out that they were the Assassins Guild, and probably hired by Tromlin's siblings again to kill him. The assassins didn't have a lot of information, but the party did learn that the assassins had their exact descriptions, including Tromlin's disguise and all of the current details about the party, including Morgan's membership. We left off with the party having done a bit of good cop, bad cop on Kermit the Assassin.
Good cop, bad cop, and necro cop.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
My favorite character description in Disco Elysium.
And Tromlin and Ugna were making some terrible threats before letting this guy go in hopes that his word would get back to the Assassins Guild. But rather than picking up immediately after that at the safe house, I'm going to start with Fetid. So Fetid, you left the party at this safe house to go and meet up with your goth Quaggle buddies, Trit Resnoir and Brenda Yuri. And these two Quaggles were some of the sort of local Quaggle leaders that you guys hung out with last time you were in Ravenfall. And Fetid had spotted them in the market when you guys first, or not in the market, sorry, in the pier when you guys first arrived on the ship. So just to refresh your memories a little bit, the last time you were here, there was a bit of a turf war going on between the Goth Quaggles and the incursion of Weaselkin.
Yes.
From the Wildwoods. And you guys resolved this by hooking up the Quaggles, the local Quaggles, with some dwarves, specifically a dwarf barbarian named Butch Urk, Butch spelt with two T's,
Mm-hmm.
who is a dwarven barbarian for hire. And you also got your friend Hollis Rockabilly, who felt that he owed you a great favor for saving face and protecting the dwarves he was supposed to be protecting. So he actually got a bunch of his people to do some building in the catacombs under the city. And then Galorpa, who you'll recall stayed here for a long time, basically got underground food sources to grow extensively using her plant growth spells that can effectively transform an area, and thus increasing the capacity of the underworld quaggle domains of the city. And one of the factions of the Weaselkin you convinced to merge with the local quaggles. So Trit and Brenda report that at first this went very well. The unification with that faction led to a strong front, and when further incursions from the more violent Weaselkin from the Wildwoods occurred, they were driven back and kept at bay. However, more recently, the numbers of quaggles in the city has swollen quite a bit. And this is not entirely a bad thing because they've had this expanded ability to support the quaggle population, but the reasons aren't great. There's been continued sort of rural quaggles moving into the city because of incursions of the barbarian worshippers of Nahel in the frozen wastes. But also now, and that's coming, of course, from the east, but then from the west, increased immigration from the Wildwood as people are being displaced from their homes. And there is talk that denizens of the Wildwood have begun to be turned to the undead.
Oh, great.
Which is something that you've already heard a bit about from the fishermen. So more recently, they've been getting a little concerned about not necessarily how supportable the movement of people into the city is, but what this bodes for those places where, you know, people are kind of under threat, under attack. So yeah, you go down into the under the marketplace where Sir Godfrey has already set up his moving marketplace, the Walk Mart, as we referred to it previously. And you go down into the catacombs and meet up with Trit and Brenda, and they tell you all this stuff. You'll also meet up with Butch, who has basically taken up residence and has been kind of leading the Underdark army, such as it is here. Largely, their fighting capacity has been increased by all these Weaselkin, who are a lot more sort of capable than the goblins and kobolds that were here before. And they'll introduce you to some of the denizens that they've met here. So Butch will come up and say, "Hey, it's good to see you again. You guys gonna help us out with some of these problems? I know you're really good at making traps."
We've got a lot on our plate, but I will certainly see what we can do.
Well, the big problem is these barbarian guys out in the wilds. You know, they're not like, you know, I mean, they get all mad and stuff like I do because that's you know that's just how you fight, right? That's just being cool. But like, thing is, these guys are just trashing places and wrecking little villages and stuff, and then they just go back off into the frozen wastes. Yeah, it's not cool.
That's weird. So, okay.
One of the weasels will speak up and go, yeah, these guys, worshippers of their weird chaos god thing, they're just they're so fast. They use these little knives on their feet so they can come down over the waist real fast. I think that's the real problem. Is this like it's not winter yet, you know? It's just autumn, but it's just so cold out there, and there's ice everywhere, and these guys come and there's even more ice, and then they can get at all of our guys.
Okay.
And then they're in and out and they smash everything up. It's a good thing they're no good at underground, or they'd be all over this place already. And Butch will say, well, I don't know about that. I think we're pretty tough down here. We could probably, we could deal with that sort of problem.
I really like the kind of Patrick Warburton thing
Yeah, I
you
was
got
gonna say
going
the
there.
same thing.
It's real good.
It took me like an hour to go back through the old episodes, and it's been like 29 episodes since the last time I did it. So I was like, what the hell voice did I do for good old Butt Church? I mean Butch Irk.
All right. Well, it sounds like defenses would definitely be in order, and then we need to figure out. I mean, I feel like we can probably assume why they're causing problems the way they are. I'm guessing it has a lot to do with the. What'd you say?
Trit will pipe up and go, we do? Like, I mean, they just seem to be.
I do.
Oh. Well, fill somebody in.
I want to just give them the brief rundown on what we've been up to, fill them in about this Necrogog guy. Because it seems likely that they are working in cahoots with him. Could even be intentional to try and drive people into the city. And you drive people into the city, it increases social tensions, it destabilizes things. I mean, maybe I'm getting a conspiracy theory here, but yeah, that seems bad. Okay. I will.
Well, I mean, it's less bad for us than it is for the people up top. As one of the weasels, and then Trit will sort of cut in and say, yes, it's been very bad up there. The city, the people of the city are not happy with their leadership, because they've been allowing this to get fairly bad. The raids on the city always fail. The city is too well defended. But they keep raiding these parties of raiders, and the ground freezes as wherever they go, and they have come right up and attacked the gates. But they don't have siege engines or any sort of means that can really affect the city. But the small towns and hamlets and villages, that's been particularly bad, and so it's terrible for trade. The roads are practically closed. The bridge is still down. The bridge is out. They haven't bothered to rebuild it because it only serves to increase the raids. Only ships have been coming with trade, at least from the east, and from the west now, with this news of dangers in the Wildwood, and they say the elves are gone. They say the elves have disappeared or are hiding, and now the roads to the west are getting dangerous as well. Soon we'll be an island, and I don't know. I don't know why the lords of the land have done have not done more to stop this. If the armies were to come north, they could certainly deal with these barbarians, or at least I would hope so.
That is an interesting question. Okay, well, thank you for filling me in. I will pass this info along to my compatriots, and yeah, it sounds like at the very least we need to stop these barbarians from their raids, although I suspect that's only putting a band-aid on a larger problem. That doesn't mean that the band-aid isn't necessary. So yeah, I want to report back to my people. And
so as you're sort of leaving this gathering and heading back towards the marketplace, make me a perception roll.
Okay, where are my dice? Been weeks.
And I'm actually going to give you advantage on this roll because you've got filth with you.
Oh yay!
And I'm just going to create consider that like an aid.
You also got your little dragon companion.
Haha. You have filth with you and filth with you.
You said perception?
Yep.
All right, that's a 17. I didn't roll particularly well.
That's more than good enough though for this. So you'll notice. I mean, you've noticed like a number of quaggles kind of lurking in the dark as you've been going by because they're all sort of like, "Ooh, it's the folk hero." You hear a couple people like do a is that Gregarian? And no, it's the other folk hero.
The other one.
Yep.
The stinky one.
Just because Gregarian's reputation has grown quite a bit in the north. You would imagine he's out there fighting these barbarians. But the one point as you're passing by a cavern right before you get to the marketplace, you notice some familiar faces and you spot one of the where is it here? You spot Pod, who was one of the quaggles that you met in Stormhill. And you just catch the back of him, or a glimpse of the back of him as he goes down a corridor and out of sight. But he had been just speaking with a couple other quaggles that you recognize from seeing in Stormhill, who are a pair of rodentkin named Ratty and Molly, and a badgerkin named Badger. And you realize that these are quaggles from Stormhill that must have fled Stormhill, which doesn't bode well for Stormhill.
Yeah, I was about to say, that seems like a bad thing, probably.
Rats leaving a sinking ship.
Alright, I would like to catch up with those two and see if I can flag them down and figure out what happened.
Yep. They as soon as you sort of like wave over at them, they spot you and they'll come over. And Molly will say, "Oh, thank goodness, it's you. You come at a very good time. Not a moment too soon. It's very, very dangerous out here these days." Oh yes.
Yeah, so I'm gathering. Why are you here?
Ratty and Molly will kind of look at each other like kind of a little bit of like he doesn't know.
No, I do not know. Fill me in.
And Badger will pipe up and say, "Yes, it's very very sad. The barbarian attackers. Well, you know how the city of Stormhill has the great earthen wall to the north. It's a very, very defensible spot.
Yeah.
It's someone led attackers around to the gates. They came out of nowhere. They didn't attack the wall and the ravine beyond it as they had in the past. Someone must have been working with them, and they came around to the market itself and and the east and west gates. Both sides. The real strange thing is that they did this just after the king finally sent a small legion of soldiers. I guess the raiding had finally gotten bad enough that the Baron there had managed to persuade someone to send him some strength of arms. But it was after they arrived that the attack came, which you would think would be, if they were planning such an attack, they would do it before there were extra defenses.
Yeah, that's weird. And the extra defenses didn't help at all, I take it.
Well, it certainly helped a bit. I imagine it would have been a much quicker thing had those soldiers not been there, but they were so few in number, they weren't sufficient to pull off a pincer attack by 2 hordes of barbarians. So the keep was shut. Many of the soldiers fell back there, and it's still being held. But the town around was decimated. Most of the townsfolk fled south to Mud Hollow, or they fled west here. Okay. And of course, with no townfolk, can't support the Quaggles either. So there's maybe a few still in the tunnels underneath the keep, but most came this way. The shocking thing is that the king would let such a thing happen. That one of their outpost towns would fall and they not march the armies north to deal with this threat. They hear a lot of noise here that the lady, the countess, should not wait for the king to make a decision and just go out and do something about these hordes ourselves, but no one really knows why it's being allowed to get this out of hand. At which point Molly is going to pipe up and said, well, we know some reasons that you know what happened with Toady. At which pace Badger kind of gives him a sharp look, and Ratty looks pained, and Mole kind of goes quiet.
Okay, what happened? Fill me in.
Yes, well, I'm sorry. There were 4 of us, our little family of Quaggles, but well, Toady fell in with a bad type. Molly will sort of pipe up and say, I told you, I know what it is. He's one of those. It's that cult, those raven worshippers. Their dark magics. They got a hold of him. And Ratty will sort of put a hand on Molly's shoulder and say, "It's Molly. They can't. I've told you before. It isn't mind control or anything like that. If he's using their magics, he's doing it willingly. No, I won't believe it. I can't believe that he would do that. I won't hear it. I won't hear another word about it." And Molly storms off down the tunnel.
Okay.
The other 2 kind of look awkward. Badger shakes his head.
All right, one more thing on the list. Do you know where he is right now?
Yes, well, the last I saw of him was in Stormhill, but all of the townsfolk of Stormhill are gone now. He could be in the city here for all I know, Or he might have moved on to Mud Hollow. If the cult moved on to Mud Hollow and they're going to carry their influence further south, I don't have any specific evidence, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was the cultists who've been working with those barbarians to let them into the town. The cult is quite strong here, you know. This is where their leadership is. Toady, well, he was always one to be fascinated with gizmos and gadgets. I imagine that they appealed to his darker nature and lust for power. Shakes his head again.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just an old badger. What do I know?
He loves saying that. I can tell. He says that about everything.
Yep.
Okay.
That was
so...
my best Sir Michael Hornden, but nobody can replicate that voice without being at least 75.
Multiple refugee crises, cultists in the city, probably cultist leadership in the city. Did we know that already, or is that new information?
So the last time you were here, you knew that red-eyed raven was the, I believe Copernicus made Arcana checks to figure out that was definitely a warlock's familiar.
Yeah.
Because it was, I think you actually saw it transform into an imp and do some pretty scary magic.
Was it not the familiar of the warlock who was working with what's her name? Who we did not the big bad evil person that we did not kill, and instead we recruited her into the Thieves Guild. What is her name?
Shaylin Tark.
Shaylin Tark. Thank you.
And you did know that there was I can't remember if you got the name of the cult leader.
We
vaguely
captured
feel
the
you
familiar. We got like a Pokeball and captured the familiar, which turned into an imp. And then we asked it some questions. So I think we got the name.
And you gave that eventually to Dangalf.
Yeah. And he
That's
was
right.
Look into it for us.
You gave it to Dangalf, and he used his magic to get the name.
Yeah.
So let me just pull that up, because I've got that particular...
I should write it down this time.
One of these days, Alina, you and I should just go through my notes and write out all the things that the group knows, and you can just make some.
I have a pretty big
database.
Yeah, at some point I'll screen share with you guys my Notion cross-linking system, because I have NPCs with city tags.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
And quick little notes. I don't have everyone. I only started moving my fractured giant note document into Notion a month ago. But
should share it so you guys can live edit. Where is it here? The Raven Cult in Ravenfall. Oh, this is just hang on, this isn't the stuff specific to that guy. All right. Well, I'll look it up later. I don't want to dead air the stream too long while I look up things.
And it wasn't Elephas. It wasn't Elephas Darkmoor, was it?
Yes, it was. I was about to say it was Elephas something, but I don't remember the whole of it. It was Elephas Darkmoor.
So he was also the guy that Otto Thriftwick, the merchant, warned us about in way back, second or third episode, because he was the one enemy that he thought might have done this to him when interrogated his corpse.
And you later learned from Dangalf that he is in fact the current head of the Raven cult in Ravenfall, which meant and he got that of course because he was able to do the divinations using that spirit shard that you grabbed from the familiar. So when you came back to Ravenfall later, there was another red-eyed raven that was spying on you, but you never got close to it again after that.
And it was here,
which implies that eventually he disengaged that previous familiar and got himself a new one. Right, went back to his patron, who you know is the Raven Queen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well.
So
right.
yeah, the little river folk, Wind in the Willows polycule, as Alina has described it. Yeah, they so yeah, it sounds like they are very upset about the fact that their friend Toady seems to have joined the cult at some point.
Yeah.
Wait, Toady became a toady?
Yeah.
Dang.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. Well, I want to get word from Quaggles in Mud Hollow to see what the hell is going on down there, because it sounds like that might be the only place that isn't being slowly overrun at this point, if I understand things correctly. So I would like to conjure up an animal messenger and send it to a Quaggle buddy down there and see if I can get them to send me a reply.
Send it to Ma and Pa Quaggle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. You basically write a little scribbled note. With like a symbol on it that, is your symbol that they would know to be like, take this to someone who can read.
Right, yeah. Okay, I want to thank these guys for giving me a heads up on what's going on. Tell them to be careful, and I think it might be time to meet back up with the rest of the party and fill them in on what I just learned, because that is a lot of shit hitting the fan.
Faux show. Yeah, you head back to the surface. So meanwhile, the rest of you guys are actually not that far from the marketplace. You actually, there's an easy right back in. So Fetid, as you come out through the marketplace, come out through the grates, it's now getting relatively later in the evening. The market's kind of closed down. There's still people milling about, but not like active sales and stuff occurring. You can see the big pavilion tents of Sir Godfrey with the magic lights and signs and animated things are all kind of like, closed all have closed, come back tomorrow for amazing deals. But as you're doing so, you catch a whiff of a scent that a combination of ancient dead thing burial herbs, embalming fluid, as well as sweat and weapon oil.
We're at a food cart, and I'm like, so what do you feel like tonight, Purdy? I don't know. Like, I can't make up my mind. What would you do? The lamb skewer or the
What would you do if you still ate?
Yeah.
It's all blood once it's in your mouth. That's what I say about organs.
Interesting.
And
I guess I could go for blood sausage.
So I'll jump back to you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess there's like also a whiff of like spices and good food and like perfume.
Yeah, I was gonna say
well shampooed fur.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I got Morgan in there now. Different kind of trash. So the rest of you guys, so Ugna, Copernicus, Morgan, and Tromlin, were all still at this this elderly cult member's house, where you were in like a storage room doing your your interrogations, and you've just you've finished investigating the corpse using Speak with the Dead, and you have also released Kermit the assassin. I'm going to reuse that NPC now because he's got to show up at some point and go, "Hi ho, Kermit the assassin here."
And we were going to grab some food on our way to Nightshade's, I think is where we're headed next.
That's where we were headed originally.
Yeah.
I was going to ask then, do you want to go back to the market? You don't have to. I've already got Fetid on your scent.
That's true.
You were long past the marketplace and you were heading to the Citadel.
We were stopping for food first because we missed dinner in all that interrogation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going back to you're going to
breaking someone's spirit sure does make one hungry.
I know, right?
Thirsty
so
work
Morgan
and also hungry work.
Morgan is going to stay with the cult members here, because she's not super worried about going to see the Countess, who's a terrifying figure. But she gets her sending stone starts buzzing again as she gets a message from Lady Direlust, and is back at planning this party.
I'm just
she
picturing
stays
Morgan
to do some party planning.
being like, "You guys are gonna be gone for a couple hours, right? At least 2? All right."
All right, just make sure you knock when you come in.
Yeah.
If there's a sock on the door.
Dumb. Just go for a walk around the block.
Mm,
So she has her sending stone with Copernicus, so she can catch up with you later.
Okay.
You guys decide, rather than going straight to the Citadel, you go back to the marketplace to see if you can still get a bite to eat. Everything's basically closed, but there's going to be a few sort of
a food truck.
hawkers who never
The Tromlins of this city.
who kind of are ambitious enough that they're always willing to take some sales.
Yeah,
so
Tromlin always gets really upset when there's a pointed assassination attempt on his life that also endangers his closest friends. I know that, but sometimes also those kind of problems can be resolved with just a little bit of blood sugar adjustment. So
Yeah.
A little trip for food, never a bad idea when Tromlin's in one of his blood rages.
Man, blood rage always works up an appetite. I go for donuts. Do you want a donut?
I do not want a donut.
And so you'll basically immediately run into Fetid.
Hey y'all, I've got some great news. The world's going to hell.
Oh.
Yeah?
Which of the hells? I mean, they're all so different.
A bad one. A very bad one, where all of the people we like are dead.
Oh.
A bad one or a bad one? I do need you to clarify.
Yes. Both.
Okay.
Whatever's the worst. So yeah, I'll fill them in on how,
Ooh.
everything is falling apart.
Oh, that's not good.
Say frankly, I do not know where to begin with this. There are a lot of things going on right now, and I'm not sure where to start. My first impulse is to protect my people, but again, I'm not sure that's the best use of our limited resources right now.
Well, I do have a list of hockey player, follower of Nihil, barbarian D&D names that I've been brainstorming for roughly the past 6 months since Lane first mentioned their existence. So I say we go fight the barbarians. I've got my eye on Hunter's Mark Messier.
Good. Excellent.
Oh my god.
Can I do the rest? Can I just do the rest?
I like Patrick Log.
Okay. I'm going to start with the D&D themed ones. So Hunter's Mark Messier, Guy Le Fleury of Blows,
Good.
Mario Lemage, Stan Monkita, Patrick Warlock, that one's Gordy Drow, Maurice the Magic Missile Lichard, Yeremir Yag-Sothoth, and then getting into the specifically barbarian-themed ones, Payne Gretzky, Gory Howe, Sidney Crossbow, Bobby Skull, and Bobby Gore.
Good. Excellent.
So that's that's what I've got.
Fucking bravo, sir.
Thank you.
Take a bow.
My pleasure. When Purdy doesn't sleep, he should be keeping watch or preparing spells or furthering the story, but all he does is sit there awake and think of puns.
I am going to draw Gory Drow, because that's,
Gordy Drow is my favorite.
Yes.
Very good.
Shadow GM is losing his mind. You have a bunch of information. The cult is here in town. The barbarians are out there in the wastes. You were on your way to the Citadel to deliver a gift to Nightshade.
Yeah.
Maybe she knows about these barbarians. She's got to know about these barbarian guys, right?
Yeah. In my opinion, I would like to murder all of the cult here in town because they're right here, and we don't have to travel to do that, at least theoretically. I also want to know, like, everybody keeps saying, like, oh, if the king sent his army, none of this would happen. Why has the king not done that? I feel like that's a very important question
Yeah, that
that we
sounds
don't have any information
bad.
about.
That's
Also,
actually. Yeah, go ahead.
Stormhill's where, you know, Tromlin's family is from. But they didn't help out. They didn't like fight these guys. So what's up with them?
Yeah,
Sort of. So Tromlin's
Yeah.
family, like immediate family, are in Karsh.
Yeah.
His uncle is the
Oh,
Baron
that's right.
of Stormhill.
Stormhill.
And it sounds like they did fight these guys, but they lost, and then they basically
and they were betrayed because somebody let them through the gates.
Yeah, and then they went fuck it and just sealed up their keep, and basically let them raid the place.
Gonna add that.
okay. Well, I think step one, we go see Lady Nightshade, see if she can give us any more info. That might give us a better idea of where.
Yeah. We're good at fighting, but I don't think we can fight everybody.
No.
All at once.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not exactly like the rally a ragtag army type of people either, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Copernicus, why don't you give me a history check?
Sure. I was also going to ask if I know that Lady Nightshade is of the Raven cult, but she's also kind of aloof from a lot of like mundane matters in a way that makes me wonder if she's unaffiliated. I'm just trying to make sure that
is not of the Raven cult.
Oh, okay.
As you know, like she is a powerful fae, and she likely is affiliated to the same sort of. So the Raven Queen is like an archfey, so like a god, effectively, and the Raven cult, basically that's their patronage. So you would imagine there's like some degree of association or knowledge of one another between the archfey, the Raven Queen, and Countess Nightshade.
They nod to each other across the room at parties, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a very far cry from being affiliated.
So Perny's trying to decide if it would be a good idea to ask her for permission before moving on them, but probably it's just better if she doesn't know anything about us doing anything against the Raven cult if we decide to do something.
Yeah, I would lean more towards pumping her for information rather than giving her any information if we can avoid it. Just because I have no idea who to trust at this point.
In the time that I spent with her, I was used to her doing more of the pumping, but I'm sure we'll do our best.
Oh,
Gross.
yeah. Yep.
Yay.
Okay.
So yeah, history check, please.
Oh yeah, so that was a 22.
So you're we've talked a bit about this before, but it's been a while. Your knowledge of the Raven cults. I'm just pulling up an additional file. Nope, wrong folder. Correct folder. So you knew that the Raven cult has always been strong in Ravenfall, but is usually kind of divided and squabbling. Like, basically, this is a place where, the unseelie kind of winter-oriented fae are strong in the north. The ravens, in particular, as the Raven folk come from the hills and islands north of here. And there's just always been a lot of sort of Raven cultists, like worshippers of the Raven Queen in this part of the world. But the organization level of that has always varied. And every so often in the history of Ravenfall, a leader emerges, or more than one, amongst the cult, gains power and tries to unify the cult. There are varying levels of fanaticism. Lots of Raven Queen worshippers aren't particularly dangerous. They're just like, local pagans. effectively, all the way up to like the world domination kind of flavor. And the recent rumors that you had heard, and this is all from like a while ago, I'm just kind of for refreshing your memory, was that there is this single strong personality running the cult these days, and the membership has grown, particularly among the merchants of the north. So this is not like just a sort of a barbarian group.
And that's
And I'll
Eliphas
remind you,
Starkmore, who's the leader?
Eliphas Darkmoor is the one who was linked specifically to that red-eyed raven familiar.
Right.
You don't have like specific confirmation that he's the one that is the new strong leader of the cult, but you kind of gotten that idea.
I bet
Shaylin
Nightshade
Tark
knows about him.
Well, Shaylin Tark was specifically dealing with him.
Right.
Didn't know his name, but you got the name from your connection. But Shaylin did tell you that basically she was that whole thing where she had that subgroup of the Night Slayers, barbarians. The Night Slayers were a small group of barbarians that she basically got all this extra power for, and that power came from those amulets, which were supplied by the Raven Cult.
Right.
So she was dealing with, from putting this all together, that Shaylin Tark was specifically dealing with Eliphas Darkmoor to get those amulets to manipulate the barbarians of the north. Now, that group of barbarians, the Night Slayers, basically got their asses handed to them, partly by you guys, and then partly by their rivals, other barbarians in the north. And you know from your travels since then that these worshippers of Nihil have largely grown out of the Night Slayers. They are calling themselves the Night Slayers now, or at least they're related barbarian tribes. But this new faction has grown to be the dominant barbarian faction in the north. Whether there's a connection between the worshippers of Nihil and the Raven Cult, like there was with the previous Night Slayers and the Raven Cult, you don't know yet. But, it doesn't seem too unlikely.
And I remember that there was some history with the barbarian clans kind of being united by a probably behind the scenes force 100 years ago. And they won some unlikely battles they were expected not to be able to. And I think they also managed to have some kind of stealth magic that we saw a similar version of when we were there.
Yeah,
Can you remind me what the historical precedent for that was? If what was known about who was behind it or what happened?
Well, so I'm assuming that you're referring to a generation ago, the Shah, basically, that rose up and came out of the east.
Yeah.
This is in your sort of
pulling
handout.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull this open now. Chaka Khan, who united the Ravager tribes.
Not Shah, yes.
Yeah, Chaka Khan, who unified the Ravager tribes in the desert, leading them west. You said that I think at some point you mentioned that I had gotten vibes of a similar thing happening here, but it might have just been this is historically similar for reasons unrelated, as opposed to
that's the thing. You suspected at the time that maybe there is a similar thing happening. So the likewise the Chaka Khan was basically a similar situation. A number of the barbarian tribes of the desert that had always been kind of disjointed and raiders. And actually, Alina, this might be a good time for the map.
Yeah. Here we are.
So I don't know how far over to the right we can get. Can you get right to the edge of the map?
We got a Randy.
Hey!
Haha! A Randy has arrived. Maybe do a camera switch here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
After our power went out, I had to juggle a bunch of things, and I promised.
Oh, yeah. No worries.
Fun.
Yep, it's been fun.
Oh,
It's been
boy.
a hoot over here.
Oh, boy.
Hooray!
Yay.
So yeah, you can see on the map there, Peter, the Blood Coast north of the Desert of Ix, and the deserts really just beyond that part of the map go right to the coast. That's an area where basically there's a lot of these ravagers, like with small boats, make shipping kind of impossible, and this is kind of why the Northlands end there.
And this
You
is
know,
why
there's
Kickstarters are getting so expensive as well.
I know, right?
Exactly.
All those darn Ravagers on the Blood Coast.
Yep.
Yep. Hate it.
Sorry, go on. You were actually telling us about the world that you painstakingly built for us to play in.
Nope.
Not thinking about our real life problems.
By painstakingly built, you mean like largely stole from other media. But yeah, so there's always been kind of like, Barbary Coast raiders and desert raiders that hit the caravans and stuff in the desert. But likewise, they always squabble amongst themselves. They don't have leadership. And the rise of the Shaga Khan was a big deal, and it led to a huge army that marched into the Northlands, and their defeat is what basically led to the rise of the Straks as kings in the north. And what you saw happening amongst the barbarians with the Night Slayers being unified by some kind of power, basically back then you similarly kind of had an idea that some kind of dark magic was behind it, was behind the unification of these barbarians. And so yeah, you see a similar thing here, but you never knew what actually did unify the armies of the Khan in the deserts. You never found that out.
Okay, I'm adding that to my little list of research things when
Yeah.
Ernie has a big
Also-
list of things to do at the
also-
public library.
Is this man's name Chaga, like the mushroom?
Yes.
Chaga Khan. Amazing. He's the Mushroom King.
Great.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, so you can switch it back off of the map.
The map.
And just to make it a little easier, I'm going to say that Tromlin, when you guys went into the market to grab some food.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should have done that earlier.
Oh, go
Okay, straight
go
here.
get something.
Oh, I have some. I'll grab. It's in my microwave. I'll be right back.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
But just to fill Randy in, I think I'm going to just say that
He
Tromlin
may
was like,
be gone for the moment.
Yeah, I think he
He-
just
he-
stepped away.
Yeah.
For food.
yeah, but it's fine. But I'm
Yeah.
just going to say that Tromlin was grabbing food elsewhere than the rest of you when Fed
Yeah.
caught up to you. So you still need to fill in Tromlin.
He
And
needed
that way,
A
ingredients.
really messy funnel
you can fill in
cake.
Randy
Yeah.
at the same time.
He was gonna make us waffles in the morning, and he needed to go get some eggs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very hard to find chicken eggs in this world. All sorts of other eggs, but
You
chicken
can get
eggs.
raven eggs, no problem.
Yeah.
Race eggs?
Cockatrice.
Yeah.
Like ghost race eggs?
Mm-hmm.
So Randy, basically all you missed with Tromlin, because I started off with Fetid hanging out with his Quaggle buddies. So all you missed was after you guys let Kermit the assassin go, and he ran off going, "Hi ho." Yeah, he did the arm wave as he ran off into the night. Perfect.
Good.
Morgan got some like wink and hand motions from the old couple that owned the house and decided she needed to check in with her cult for a bit and would catch up with you after you go talk to
They
Nightshade.
liked her vibe.
Wink, wink.
Mm-hmm. Sorry,
Did they buy
across
her a
the
drink?
tavern, etc., etc.
And the other three of you went back towards the back to the market just to grab a bite to eat and sort of calm your nerves after this crazy poison attack before you go on to the Citadel. And while Tromlin was finding some new interesting seasoning components or something to use in your pouch of seasoning. Ugna and Copernicus ran into Fetid, and so they basically all come walking over to you now.
Yeah,
and we'll
I
pick it up
hand
there.
you a sausage on a stick from one of the stands. I'm eating like 5 of them.
You're holding it between your fingers like Wolverine.
Yeah.
They're actually made of Wolverine. Very good.
Yeah, they're real good. So
Okay,
trouble,
but-
I guess? The world's bad?
I mean, we've known that.
Yeah. But like even
I mean,
better.
like apocalypse bad, not just everything. Is
Oh,
fucking
god damn
bad.
it.
I mean, we kind of knew that too, I think.
It seemed like it was like a thing that would happen in the future, and
Yeah,
now
but
it
it's
turns out
now-
it's happening right now.
I don't like that.
It's an allegory for climate change.
Hey, but Stormhill kind of fell. Like a bunch of barbarians came out of the north and attacked it, and then they didn't defend it. So now they're just living in the keep, and all the villagers had to run away.
Yeah.
No, the
Yeah.
armies of the king are living in the keep. The soldiers were overrun by the
Yes,
barbarians
yeah.
and fell back to the keep and sealed it up and let the barbarians sort of raid. But of course, the barbarians didn't stay. They raided and then took off like they always do. But basically, the town's gone. It's just a keep now.
Oh, so the soldiers hanging out and have nothing to protect but themselves.
Yep.
Well, that's great. They're good people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. And people always.
And that's
wonder
where
why
that's
I
your
hate
uncle's
that.
keep. So
ASAB, all sentinels
Yep.
are bastards.
Something like that.
yeah, that's bad. Some of them went
Yeah,
to some of the villagers made it to Mud Hollow, so I guess they're gonna live there now.
God damn it. So what are we gonna do? Do we address that, or is there something
That's
else?
what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out what the next step is going to be. Right now, the next step is to go to Lady Nightshade and see if we can get any more info from her.
Has the
and
gift
then-
been delivered yet?
No, that is why. That is the pretense for hope.
Oh, that's right. 'Cause I wrote that really nice letter.
Yeah, yeah.
I wrote that really nice letter.
Oh, sorry. Yes, my bad.
But
Wink.
yeah. So I think the plan was just to go over there and then talk to her and be like, "We can't fight the whole world. What
Yeah.
can you do?"
What the fuck is happening?
So this is probably a good time for a poll to happen. So
Oh,
I'm going to
no.
ask the players
Oh no.
step away from the chat room, and I will ask
No.
my shadow DM.
Huh, I'm not even
To-
in the chat room. Fuck off.
Excellent. And I'll ask my shadow DM to start up the pool. I'm excited to see where you guys go with this one. So I will remind the audience, as always, that you can vote once in the poll as you like. Everyone gets a free vote. You can also vote multiple times by using channel points, and I highly recommend it because then you can help and direct what is going to occur. Whoa, what happened?
Oh, hey, that didn't go. Okay, it's good.
I am. Okay, there we go. That seems to be fixed. Okay. And that should be coming up now. The poll should be coming up now. So, as I said, oh, I see what's happening here. I'm not getting the poll because I got to every once
You
in a
gotta
while,
refresh?
I can't see the poll unless I refresh. People in the chat, can you guys see the poll? Oh, there we go. I can see it now.
Poll's good.
Yeah, I just had to refresh. Okay, so the poll runs 10 minutes. We're already like a couple minutes into it here, but please do vote in the poll. Oh, it's even money right now, but I am only going to choose one. So please push the one that you want to see happen. And I will
break the poll, guys. Break the poll.
I will roll for it if it's tied. Okay. Keep them coming. Vote early, vote often, as they say. And I will let you know as that poll ticks down. Right. So back to the party. So you guys are gonna continue on your way to the Citadel?
I don't have any other brilliant ideas right now.
I think so. I think more information will help us, and I think that she's like our one person who is upper crust enough and not so immediately hostile that we might have a chance of like bringing this conversation into the corridors of power.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you continue on your way. You maybe take a slightly different route because you realize that you are about to go down the exact same alley that you were ambushed in.
Assassinate attempt me once, shame on you. Assassinate attempt me twice, shame on me.
I don't know. That still feels like a shame on you for being.
Yeah. Shame on them.
Great.
I'm just still very amused that now in my head all the members of the local Assassin's Guild are Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the Muppet Show.
You don't want the electric mayhem coming for you.
They are, it's time to put on face black. It's time to
Snuffleupagus is the most dangerous one because nobody can see him.
Oh my gosh.
Snuffleupagus is an assassin Loxodon.
Mm-hmm.
Big Bird. Big Bird's just a big bird.
Yeah.
Just a murder Aarakocra.
Animals just depending on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a half giant, half Aarakocra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cookie Monster's a gibbering mouther.
Good.
Oh my god.
Oh,
But
no.
all the eyes are Googles.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
I mean, there's something there for like either like a fringe show or something that is like D&D themed, but with Muppet characters.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Muppet monsters to do all the classic monsters, like a Muppet Displacer Beast and a Muppet Beholder is some really cool. Like a Muppet Beholder is like an obvious.
That's got to have happened at Gen Con.
Someone's got to have made a Muppet Beholder.
We would have to call it something besides Muppet Monsters, because I believe there was actually a show called that at one point.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
was
like,
an attempt it was paired with Muppet Babies one season, and it was like actual puppetry segments, and then had extra animation of the normal Muppet character, and it just bombed. It bombed real bad. Little Muppet Monsters is called. Yes. Anyway,
I can imagine Hasbro making some kind of deal with Disney to do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The D&D movie did well enough that somebody's going to do some further property stuff with it.
Yeah. Maybe.
There's been a like Transformers Magic the Gathering set. I'm sure.
Oh god.
I'm sure they're just doing any IPs they can fit in regardless of context. They'll just do it.
You know what that is, though?
Elmo Minster.
So,
Elmo Minster.
Elmo Minster.
Yes. Oh my god.
That's it.
Hell
That
yes.
character's showing up at some point.
I'm drawing that.
Me cast fireball.
Oh god.
Elmo Minster's Infernal Tickle.
Oh god.
Oh god.
But they're all of them are actually secretly being controlled by a puppeteer behind the scenes called Jim Hexen.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yes.
Warlock puppeteer.
Yep.
Undead in this world are just people's hands.
Ah, that's so horrifying.
The Shadow GM says he's going to actually build that spell now.
I actually just came up with something I'm going to make for Gen Con. I want to make a little weird monster book,
Nice.
and I'm not going to say it here, but I just had a guy for a really upsetting
Excellent.
monster.
Good.
Yay.
Good.
The Upsetting Monster
Okay.
Manual is a book that I would buy on site.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
3 minutes, folks. Keep those votes coming.
I might
pole
message
has
you guys in the
flowed.
actual Discord.
Do it.
Yeah.
Hold
Unsettling beasts and how to avoid them.
Oh, hell
Oh,
yes.
on. I don't want anything I do attached to her though.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Unsettling beasts to loose upon your players.
Unsettling. Yeah. Okay. And so, yeah, you make your way to the Citadel, and of course there are Citadel guards. You had sent a calling card ahead.
Yeah.
So as you approach the building, I'm going to say,
Or did we send the gift ahead, or did we send just the calling card and then we're doing the gift?
just the calling card. So you basically sent a you ritualed up an unseen servant and you cast a fly spell on them,
Right,
and
yes.
gave them like just a calling card note,
Very
and then sent them to go fly up to the Citadel and find like a servant
Right.
of Nightshade that would be much better to deliver it than like a random guard at the gate. Okay, so you arrive and the guards at the gates are with a board, kind of like, "Oh, what's your business?"
The Lady Nightshade is expecting me. I'm long overdue for a call upon her, a conversation that we're meaning to have. The name's Copernicus
do you
Sunshine.
give a name? Okay.
Yeah, I'll say the name's Copernicus Sunshine. I believe she's expecting me.
He will sort of like look to the other guard, who will kind of equally boredly go, "Yep," and wave you by and go, "Mm." And yeah, you can just walk through. There's basically the huge gate to the keep is just open, and it leads into a big hall. Even at night here, there are people moving around in the hall. I'll remind you that the Citadel is like one giant building at the center of the city. So like the city administration is in the lower levels as well as like the upper levels where Nightshade's chambers would be. We're down to the last minute, actually about half a minute in the poll. So this is your last chance, folks. If anybody wants to try and shift this, I'm going to throw some votes on all three options just so I can use some of my channel points.
Once again, corporate fat cat influencing the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I'm just voting for all three of them. I'm just trying to get rid of my channel
We
points.
need to regulate D&D lobbying.
Yep. Yeah, if only channel points were worth something. But oh wow, okay, clear favorite is jumping ahead here. And
I have concerns.
almost done. Why would you have concerns? It's not always a bad thing. My last chance to get
What new illegitimate children will Tromlin make?
Which party member will randomly explode? Okay,
Who is
we
getting
have a winner.
assassinated next?
Typically, I'm the most likely to randomly explode, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
Second place
You're the
is
most likely to have
probably-
eaten an explosive.
Yeah, second place
Hey.
is probably Bernie because he makes the worst decisions out of
That's
all of
true.
us.
Yeah,
But you're
and
the
looks
one
like
who's most likely to be flammable.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
I
very
think you
dry, and
missed
I've
it.
pissed off a lot of demons.
Yeah.
I think you missed it last game, Jeff, because I believe Purdy was trying to actually calm Tromlin down.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
they mentioned that.
That was weird.
There was some blood rage going on, yeah.
Oh, there's still blood rage. Tromlin wants blood, but he didn't bring it in.
The reason that we went to the market was to get you foods, but at the very least your blood sugar wasn't leaning into the blood rage.
I was just angry.
You get murdery when you're hangry.
It happens.
Okay, nice. I was the number one channel point person because I voted for all three options like 5 times. That's funny. But anyway, that is done. You guys can go back
Safe to
into
go
the
Alright.
back into the chat. So once you go inside this huge hall, you kind of have a sort of a bureaucracy moment where you go up to people. I'll remind you too, as you approach the citadel, you do once again spot the red-eyed raven still way up high on the tower, looking down at you.
Great.
Don't like that.
Well,
Can I try to shoot an arrow at it just out of spite?
How will the guards feel about that? Or can we
I
shoot
mean, it
before we
depends on
get
how
there?
you do it. You like if you sort of Fetid is definitely capable of slipping away from the party.
I want
and
to try
taking
my
a shot.
shot thing just to see if it'll happen.
Good.
Tromlin, I think we could use a distraction for
Go
the
for it.
guards.
So Fetid, if you kind of like just slip away from the party and like sneak over a block and then take a shot from like a random alleyway.
This is almost certainly not going to work because I have disadvantage on this roll, but it's still funny and seems like something I would do. Oh yeah. Nope. That's 3 and a 6.
Ooh.
I just killed an innocent bystander.
So what? Sorry, your roll was what?
My low roll was 3, so that would be an 11.
Did you roll both dice, or did you roll one then the other?
I rolled one and then the other because I had disadvantage.
Which was the 3? The second one or the first one?
The second one.
Then you have the option of canceling your disadvantage by getting an advantage. So if you just spend an inspiration, you just get your first roll because you never had disadvantage.
Yeah, why not? Let's do that. It probably won't make a difference, but again, it's funny. So that's 14.
14 on the roll?
Yeah, 14 total.
Oh, 14 total. Okay.
I do love the idea of Fetid, like, watch this, and like
Yeah.
puts the bow under his leg and just like shoots a random civilian.
Yep. That'll show you, bird.
Did you guys see it? No, for legal reasons.
I
we
look
did
at the
not
bird
see it.
and I'm like, you're next.
What do you want? What do you want your trick shot to do?
Well, I wanted it to hit the bird, but
You want to do the auto crit
yeah,
version?
yeah, that's what I was going for.
In retaliation for the death of Otto, this is the auto crit.
You like shoot away from the castle and it skips off something and it goes towards the bird.
Yep.
No, because of spending that gives you a that gives you a 14 total roll.
Yep.
So it's not like and in fact that beats the armor class.
Oh, right. It's just a bird.
Take that, bird.
Well, it's not just a bird. It's in fact as previously it's an imp.
Yeah.
But an imp's armor class is 13.
Imp bird.
And I don't think the special Pact of the Chain bonuses give that familiar any additional armor class.
Well, it takes 7 damage then.
Is that your base roll?
Yes.
Because you auto critted, so you get to double that.
Oh shit! All right, so 14 damage to the
Also,
stupid
were
bird.
you not going to put your hunter's mark on it?
You know, I thought about it, but I didn't say it in time, so I think I'm just going to leave it as Fetid forgot.
Well, I don't know. For interest's sake, with the extra ways that you can add damage for a shot like that, if you're going for a fancy
you spent
shot,
an inspiration on it, so
Yeah.
yeah,
like
you
goose
spend
it as much as you can.
Do it for Hunter's Mark, man.
you shoot it through, like you pin it to
Yeah.
the side of to the stone of the tower,
Nice.
and it basically like disappears in a puff of smoke.
Good.
Nice.
That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to just make whoever's controlling that bird's day a little bit worse.
Yep. Oh no, dump shock. Sorry,
Just uploaded some art for
that
y'all.
was a Shadowrun joke.
Oh.
Oh, sweet. You got to share
Nice.
that, Lena. You got to share that. That's a good one. Excellent.
Oh, that's very good.
I love it. The floppy limbs completely
Oh, that's
sell
real
it.
good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not Kermit if he doesn't have floppy limbs.
No.
yeah, it's true.
Exactly. So, Jeff, roll me an extra 2d6.
Extra 2d6. Weird d6. 3 plus 2 is 5 more damage.
And then
Or
double
5
is
total
10.
or whatever.
So you basically did like 24 damage in one shot.
Good.
Suck it, bird.
Yeah, and you basically discorporate the familiar. Yeah, and then you just kind of scuttle up and rejoin the group as they go inside.
Yep.
So now you have kind of like one of these bureaucracy moments where you guys go, right, let's go find Nightshade, and then you sort of like you've been waved into the place, but you're like, now who do you talk to? And there's like servants running around. You're like, flag. So, excuse me, can I? I just like I have to talk to Lady Nightshade. And then finally you sort of like grab hem of somebody's like robe, and you go, I'm supposed to talk to Lady Nightshade. Some servant want to like show me the way to go.
This is like when you arrive at a convention and you're supposed to like find the vendor coordinator before you set up your table,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just walking through giant convention halls for 2 hours before
Yep.
somebody gives you your friggin' badges that no one's checking for anyway.
Yep.
All too familiar.
Mm-hmm.
No, you shot the familiar.
Whee.
Did you share the picture? I missed it.
I'll share it after break. I have to grab it from my email. That'll make the stream flash and do weird things.
I always forget. OBS, it's so
No,
good.
it's Discord now. Discord, it used to keep the screen up, even if you tab to another tab. And now when you're in streamer mode, you can't click on anything or it'll show it on your screen.
Thanks,
That's
Discord.
not great.
So if
That's
I like went to my
the opposite
emails,
of
you'd
what
see
you
my
would
private
want.
work emails, and that would be bad.
Wow. What is it about? Like, is it just like everyone saw Elon Musk destroying a technology
Like, how do we
site
wreck
and went,
the thing we've built?
hey,
Yeah.
how
You
can
have
we
to
make
make
the thing we
everything
built
worse all the
Yep.
time.
just random CEOs just constantly ruining things?
Yep.
Sigh.
I could grab it if I put up our break sign very briefly.
I mean, you
It
can if
breaks
you want
only
to,
in 30
go for it.
minutes.
Yeah, that's true. I'll just wait till after
Yeah,
break.
it's up to you. So you eventually find a servant who doesn't know anything about this, but will go find someone who does. And then another servant will come and say, yes, follow me. And the group of you, so is it just you, Copernicus, or are all of you going?
I think we're all going.
I think we're all going. This is a big
'cause
plot dump. We all should be there.
Mm-hmm.
The servant who initially leads you doesn't seem to care that you have an entourage. But when you are brought several, like a dozen stories up to another part of the Citadel, there will be a point where you're passed over to a sort of attendant type of servant who will be introduced Copernicus Sunshine, and then kind of look in askance at the rest of your group.
And friends.
And who are these people?
These
and
are
he's
my...
holding your calling card.
Yeah.
Aww.
Oh, yeah, perfect. These are my entourage. I do believe that they have information that the Lady Nightshade or Countess Nightshade will want to know and want to hear.
He says,
We've traveled far. We bring news about threats to the city. We literally fought an aboleth to be here. I would appreciate if we were not delayed any longer.
Copernicus Sunshine and the Sunshine Band.
Yep. That's us.
I was gonna say the entour garbage.
Oh, that's
Also
good.
That's good too. He'll say, wait here one moment, and he'll duck through a door. But he comes back fairly quickly, and just opens the door, nods his head, and beckons you. And so you go through the door into one of many large chambers that you've seen before in the Citadel. It is a chamber made of dark stone with like dark curtains over an archway that leads out to a walkway. There's rooms like this all over the Citadel. It's like this giant labyrinth of a tower. Clearly built long ago by magic, because you couldn't possibly build it otherwise. And the curtain is thrown back, and you can see a number of birds just kind of like hanging out on the balcony, a little walkway on the side of the citadel, just kind of
Can I
pecking around.
Check for red eyes.
You glance like I mean, there's too many of them to get to check without a significant amount of time. But on a glance, you don't see any red eyes.
We're just like instinctively looking for glowing red eyes or winking cloacas on every bird.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Would
That's how you know whether it's a good one or a bad one.
Yeah.
Yep.
If a bird was an imp, would the gem of true sight reveal its nature?
Ooh.
Yes.
I might send Tromlin a little note like, there's so many eyes watching. Would you mind giving a quick look over the birds?
I will pop the gem out and glance.
So you see this number of ravens that are hanging out there. It's just like, I don't know if you've ever seen any video footage of like Australians in the city when there are like flocks of cockatoos just hanging out on their balcony.
Yeah, I live in the south where we have flocks of grackles at sunset of a few thousand. So
yeah, but this is like the big ass ravens, right? So it's not like a huge a few thousand. It's only like a dozen or so. But there are these gigantic birds just kind of hanging out on the balcony. None of them appear to be an imp when you look through, but one of them, who's perched on the rail, turns out to be Nightshade.
Oh.
So when you
neat trick.
When you
you guys don't know that yet. I haven't told you.
Yeah, when you look through the gem, the one perched on the rail, it turns into Nightshade kind of demurely sitting on the rail, with like side saddle.
I blush appropriately.
And as soon as she sees you,
I can blush.
You blush, but no one can tell. Like it's just under too many layers.
Yep.
And you're wearing filth like a boa.
Yep.
Good.
He likes it. It's warm.
As soon as she sees you pull a gem out and look through it, Nightshade, for the rest of you, you see this one raven kind of hop down off of the railing and like just walk into the room. But Tromlin, you see Nightshade just kind of slide down off the railing and like, walk in her sort of almost floating kind of Morticia Adams manner.
I put the gem away and genuflect to the raven.
I'll follow whatever Tromlin's doing.
Very glad I did.
Tromlin's bowing to a bird, I'll bow to a bird.
At that bird.
I think Perny would. I'm gonna roll an insight check for him. He's a little oblivious. Don't fuck this up, buddy.
I will not give you any sort of penalty on the.
That's a 9. That's a 9. So I think Perny is
9 total.
Yeah, 9 with the mod. Yeah, 7 plus 2 is 9. I think that like Perny's gonna be like, oh, I think Tromlin, it's just a bird. You don't have to.
Actually, I might just give that to you because you're the only one here who might have the context to know that Nightshade can do this.
Okay.
Oh right.
Then I'm gonna do. I don't think. I think I'll do whatever I think would be a respectful degree that she would expect from me, but I don't think I want to like go in too hard on like full genuflex. I don't know. You know how you can like make it weird if you were like if you had a bit of a like peers relationship with someone and then suddenly you act as though you don't. So I think Fernie's gonna find whatever like a deep bow maybe. A deep bow.
Your whole purpose here is kind of contrition.
Yeah.
After your last thing, so you could just lead with the gift. Like you could sort of like do an offering pose of like come bearing gifts.
All right, then I'll take a knee and hand it the gift and say, I have come for a long overdue apology, and to bring tidings of the shadows that come for your city and the rest of the land, and that I think that you would want to hear first.
As you say this, the raven sort of between the steps begins to like grow, and there's swirling of like feathers and fabric, and becomes the tall fairy-like countess. She's like tall even for an elf. She's quite large. I think as we said before, not like giant like Lady Direlust, but like clearly an inhuman fey-like creatures, like 6'8" or something, and proportionately built. So she like coalesces into her regular shape, which I'll remind the audience, for those who may not be aware, that she effectively looks like a huge elven Morticia Adams. Fairy goth queen. And so the gift, just to make sure I don't misremember, the gift was a vase, basically, that was crafted by with magic by Sir Godfrey, so that the flowers that were put in it basically become undead and never die, or never rot, never finish dying. And you had gathered some white flowers or lilies or something like that to put in it. And then there was also a letter like tied to it with the ribbon, basically.
Yeah. There was also the music box.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, right. It was also was also a music box. It basically plays like a little mournful dirge.
A happy little ragtime tune.
The ballerina, the dancer, that one song.
One of those. It basically plays like a lovely little song that becomes super creepy as it winds down.
It's a music box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you pass it over. She takes it with a nod. She undoes the little ribbon and pulls the letter off of it. She sort of holds it out like she's handing it to someone, and then it just floats, off to the side, and sets itself on a table.
Very smooth.
Oh no, Alina's eyes are being devoured by that bird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Okay, I have no eyes now.
Tragic.
I just realized I've been watching this with delay because I had the site open instead of the Discord.
Oh.
So basically watching you guys a few seconds behind what I'm saying to you. Yeah, and so she takes the letter out and she opens it up. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but this is the letter written by Tromlin.
So it's
for
good.
Copernicus.
I remember it was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. As sort of a,
I think for not having been careful with her heart was some of the phrasing that he had put in there.
A long overdue apology. Mm-hmm. She reads it somewhat impassively, and then she holds it out as well, and it floats over and absently, and without looking at it, it floats over and joins the vase on the table. Still pretty much expressionless, and she'll just look down at you and say, and so why have you come? What are these tidings you speak of?
I am worried that...
They immediately tear all their clothes off, and the rest of you are like, oh God, here we go again.
Well.
No, that doesn't happen.
Smoke bomb, out.
Yeah. I use all of my blood dice on an erection.
God damn it.
Hey, you got blood crafting now. It's a whole new thing.
Oh no.
Ooh.
Oh my God, a blood strap on?
Yeah.
Oh no. I hate it.
Hank, what are you doing?
Just...
What do you actually say? Because I want
Totally
to cleanse that image.
Yeah. I think
Nobody draw that.
I'm going to say dark forces that have not walked the world in quite some time seem to be rising at all corners, and I believe...
And I don't mean my dick.
And I believe that the time that it will be too late to act and to unify as many heads of state as we can, if it has not already passed, will pass soon. And the Necrogog rises in the west. I see a dark hand rising over the cities of the east. The south is on fire. I know that the followers of Nihil have taken Stormhill and are on their way here. There's a fungus from the Necrogog and his Mind Flayer minions that has spread out from. What was the city where we first encountered in the sewers? That was in
Dwimmerdale.
Dwimmerdale.
Yeah.
I spread from Dwimmerdale and taken Alder Cove and is now not far from the gates of your city. And it still can be contained if we act quickly. But I see stirrings on all corners of the map, and I think that we require the kind of action that only those with your power, eloquence, and clairvoyance could possibly act on in time. And I've come for counsel and to share what I know and see what chance you think we have of rallying those who might be rallied.
She looks at you gravely. And she says, I am aware of these things. My divinations have revealed much of what you tell me over the past year. Ever since the cult of the Raven became powerful in my city. But I am afraid that I cannot act. I do not understand why the king has not sent his armies to deal with at least the threats that are immediately upon his doorstep. But I suspect it may be a similar magic that stays my hand. And with this, she reaches up both hands and takes the neck of her neckline, or takes a hold of the fabric of her neckline, and she pulls down the front of her bodice. And
he's
you
like,
get very excited.
Okay. Yeah, first he starts unbuttoning, like almost on instinct.
And you start, and then you immediately stop as you see that as she's brought it down to just to the top of the cleavage, that there is like a strange mark on her chest that looks like frostbite, or like physical frost, in the shape of a hand.
Somebody
over
slept
her
with
heart.
someone they shouldn't have.
Can Perny arcana this, but first being like, may I take a closer look? Like, respectful of, like, I'm going into the boob adjacent area here.
We're going into the zone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Professional curiosity.
Can arcana this. And I'll put inspiration on it if I don't like this, because I think this matters a lot.
This is important.
Probably.
That's an 11 on the die, which would be 21, but I think I am going to put an inspiration just to see if we can
Go
get
for
that
it.
a little higher.
You can goose it.
Hey! Yeah, we can goose it up to a 26.
Hell yeah.
I mean, this is obviously a curse of some sort, but probably not like a typical curse that you could just cast a remove curse on. But there is some sort of magic affecting Nightshade. I don't know how much more information you can get just with an Arcana roll, because I'll keep that roll as she talks to you, just in terms of like what further information you can drag out. But just looking at it, you've never encountered anything like this. This is not a spell that you know of.
There's a shape of a hand, correct?
Yeah.
Is it in any particular shape, or it's just?
The hand,
shocker. It's so gross.
The hand is kind of about human sized, so fairly small on her, just because she's got a fairly large body. You note that the fingers of the hand almost look taloned.
Okay. Like a crow's, like crow.
Or like the dragon who lives in the north.
More like a reptile.
I'm gonna just put up the map and remind everyone.
For the record, I didn't do it.
The layer of the
frostworm.
frostworm.
This kind of magic. And I would never touch a titty without permission.
Are you referencing the frostworm of the north for some reason?
Maybe the layer of the frostworm that's up here seems bad.
I don't know why anyone would be interested in
Ravensfall is here and it's there. You could walk there.
That's just a thing that's been on the map
also,
forever.
Stormhill is right here.
Not relevant. No, Ravenfall is right there.
That's Ravenfall. This is Stormhill.
Oh, right.
Well, you're in Ravenfall.
The followers of Nihil can create ice to skate on, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know where we're going.
Seems icy.
Everybody pack your skis.
Oh, also, I just thought of Cleve Iserman and Martin Brodruid. So those have been added to my list.
Cleve
Randy,
Iserman,
you missed...
clearly.
Yeah. Randy, you missed my my list of NHL players themed around D&D puns for the followers of Nihil, who are basically hockey playing barbarians.
I would have understood none of it because I don't watch hockey anymore. So
okay. Amazing. I'll still send
those are names.
Peter, I will give you a couple of extra things here.
Yeah.
There are two, because you have the ability to sense magic, with that Arcana roll, there are two major magics at play in this room. One emanating from Nightshade herself, and one from an outside source. And those two magics are very much at odds. And Nightshade is going to sort of cut you off from your investigation here. Like you kind of like said, may I, and just like started an examination, made your roll, but then she immediately sort of like releases her bodice back into position and says, I have nothing further to say on this matter. It is not of interest to me. And she gestures over to the table and says, thank you for your gift. And gestures to get your attention back looking that way. When you look that way, the vase and the note are gone. And in their place is a jet black scepter or rod with some kind of black stone on one end, clutched in a metal raven's claw. And she maintains the gesture. She's doing this.
Right, but her eyes aren't going to it, correct?
No. She's still looking at you and saying,
yeah,
this doesn't matter to me, and having like composing her face into a look of a supreme disinterest.
Yeah. So I'm gonna roll an insight here. I am assuming that she is concerned about a lot of things, but she's under some kind of control magic, and possibly, I wonder if she herself is becoming a vehicle for clairvoyance of something else unwillingly. So like what she says matters, what we say matters, and that like, I'm curious to see if I go over.
In fact, the opposite. Part of the magic that is happening. First of all, like again, you're sensing magic, and you rolled a ridiculous Arcana already. So, you don't worry about insight. You notice that there are anti-scrying sigils in this room. There is no clairvoyance that can happen here. So you're not being watched or anything. And you kind of suspect from what she just said that she wouldn't have said that if that wasn't the case. You are quite certain that there is an outside magic affecting her. It's probably tied to the mark on her chest. Some kind of curse or outside magic that is effectively making her like not care. And you suspect that she just used her own magic to hold that at bay long enough to tell you that.
Okay. Can I?
Did you roll an insight?
No, I did not. Should I?
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, Una's not smart enough for this, but like, Fae often, if you give them a gift, they give you a gift back.
I'll take a roll from Tromlin.
That's a 16 for me, but let me know if it should be with disadvantage because of the socially oblivious.
It's not gonna. Your socially oblivious isn't going to affect it. You can. Honestly, I'll just say that Tromlin sort of like Tromlin. You don't need to roll anything. You're kind of just aiding, and that'll offset any disadvantage. And so Copernicus, will kind of blink, not really getting it until you nudge him in the ribs, and then it sort of you realize the continuing gesture is meant to be, that's for you, take it.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring. Can I'm just out of curiosity, and only because there is a hand of a sign that has been referenced recently in a document called the Elanath. I am just wondering if there's any connection between the figure of a finger and a thumb in a certain shape.
The shape?
That
maybe on your forehead.
That could be tied. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
The fingers are spread.
Okay.
So,
right.
But
they're not in the shape of an L.
It's like one of these.
There is an L but just the other fingers are also.
Yeah.
It's like this, rather than just this. It's like that, but then with the other fingers also extended.
Yeah.
It's also not on her forehead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or upon her brow, or whatever it said in the Elanath.
All right. So probably not related.
Possibly.
Okay.
You remember, you only have the first stanza.
Yeah, that's
of
true.
the Elanath. You need to find more of it. But
Stanzas,
do you go and take this rod?
Yeah, I definitely will go take the rod.
That's what she.
I will grasp the mighty rod at the request of my lady.
You will grasp. Yes, she would very much like you to grasp a rod. I mean, you guys did some experimenting. And then once you pick it up, she just sort of turns her back and says, "Good day to you, travelers," and turns back into a raven and flies out to kind of hang out with the flock.
Okay.
That item will require some attunement.
Okay. I'll drop an identify on it when we have a chance, but I don't want to hold things up.
Okay. And you.
Wait, is that it? I thought she was gonna answer all our questions, but she just like flew away.
He did, but in a very indirect way. It's complicated.
Oh,
we'll talk about it when we're not here.
I believe our path is going to take us north and soon. I think we need to go kill a dragon.
Wait, what?
Roll credit.
Yeah.
The door opens and the servant comes in and says, and gestures for you to follow him. He's clearly gotten some indication that your audience is over.
I don't think I'm going to get any further information on what's going on with her from. I mean, I think we kind of have a pretty decent idea, but asking her, like, one of her assistants might give some insight into what's going on. I'm wondering if that's worth it. Like, yeah, you know what? I think it's like, yeah. Is it? Tromlin, you're good at asking questions of a delicate nature. Do you think you'd be able to speak to her servant about when her behavior might have changed, and if they have noticed peculiar behavior recently?
I can.
I think that would be. I think we might be able to get some helpful information if we can find out when this happened and what happened around.
All right. Well, let's see. As we start walking, I will make pleasant conversation with the servant.
Thank you.
Trying to.
How far are you going to go?
I want to get my charm speech bonus.
Okay.
Nice.
Do you want to start greasing the wheels with friends?
Yeah, sure.
Because you can charm person. Like, you've got a lot of options. But friends to start with and get them into conversation, giving you a minute worth of time to pull up your diplomat feat.
Yeah.
Is a good choice.
That sounds like the best plan. So I will do a friends like when their back is to me.
Yep. Go ahead and make me your persuasion roll with advantage, and I'll roll the contesting insight.
Let's see. What is my persuasion?
You got a plus 10 persuasion, and you're rolling with advantage because of friend.
My low die was 16.
Ooh.
Wow.
Your high is 19.
Nice.
So 29.
Okay, I rolled very well. I did not roll remotely that well, and could not have, in fact.
Unless friendship gives me any bonuses on top of that, but
no, it just gave you the advantage on the roll.
Okay, so 29.
And it also allowed you to sort of get him chatting instead of just sort of ignoring you because he's being a servant.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're very charming. You kind of like, hey, how's things around here anyway? It was an interesting job you got here. Wow, the lady's kind of weird, eh? And you managed to get a conversation going long enough to really get the charm turned on. So yeah, you loosen the tongue and sort of get get the servant into servant gossip mode.
Excellent.
So what would you like to know?
Have you noticed a change in the lady's demeanor? Like maybe she's more apathetic?
He shrugs and says, she's always been so standoffish. I mean, but they say she's ancient and I wouldn't, but it's not my place. He kind of looks a little nervous.
Buddy, it's just you and me. No one's gonna hear, okay?
I mean, there's a lot of talk. You know, there's a lot of things going on out in the wilds. How long? I don't know. You're visitors to the city?
We've been through a few times. We actually might be heading to the north.
Well, then I'll never see you again. There's barbarian hordes out there that have just been destroying every town and village. There's basically nothing left along the Shadow Coast except for the Citadel itself, Ravenfall. The town of Stormhill is gone. The village of Night Hollow is gone. They're just all the little farms that were, or woodsmen's huts and things like that. There's basically nothing outside the city walls anymore. No, these strange ice barbarians, they've been ravaging the countryside, and the lady does nothing. And I don't know. They're waiting on Karsh. They're waiting on the king. Apparently, everyone is, but I don't know why things haven't started.
Would you say the inaction started before or after her paramour arriving?
Oh, you mean, yeah, the Baron.
I don't care. I can't remember his name, but
yeah,
Langarian.
but he's like, yeah, Gregory Langarian.
Right.
But he has like a moment of like, paramour. What are you talking about? Oh, right, you mean that schmuck.
everyone hates him.
Good.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, if you serve Nightshade, if you spend any time around Nightshade, you're like, okay, so there's this greasy blonde guy who's like a real fucking, rich boy.
He's a rich fuck boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like basically anyone who doesn't know Nightshade well is, or has not like really encountered her, is like, oh, she's got a fuck toy.
Yeah.
He's just a pretty boy that she toys with. But people who actually have been around this like scary elf, like fairy queen, are much more like,
why though?
That guy's gonna be, turned into some kind of like jewelry at some point and never be seen again.
If we can help with that.
Yeah.
He is clearly not an important person, but of course he gets to sort of throw his weight around, which makes people pretty much hate him. Like, imagine if you lived in a place where you were kind of like proud of the fact that like your state governor or whatever is like a crazy magic creature that like provides decent things pretty well for the people, but also is like impossibly powerful and dangers don't come and threaten you because there's a crazy magic thing. And then suddenly it was dating Elon Musk. You wouldn't particularly go, yeah, Musk is pretty damn cool. You would be like, okay. Or like not even on that scale of like rich.
Well, he'll get turned into something, and then no loss, nothing of value will have been
it
lost.
would be very funny for everybody involved.
Yeah, more like Trump Jr.
Yeah. I just want to see like if I get like a window of when the change maybe happened.
So you kind of, it's not really. You kind of get the impression, and a few little sort of like interjections from Copernicus, who has the history rolls for this, that she's always been this like kind of aloof figure, which one would expect with a at least somewhat immortal, like no one remembers a time when Countess Nightshade was not the lady of the Citadel. Um, so yeah, you get the impression she's always been kind of standoffish, like above the mortal affairs, but like not to the degree of like, oh, let's ignore the dangers, let's ignore problems. So it's kind of hard to say. It wasn't like it wasn't like she was like garrulous and hanging out with folks and like glad handing, and then suddenly she turned to ice. It was more like problems started happening, and she was surprisingly more standoffish about them than one would expect. So really, all you can kind of get a glimmer of is like when the problems started happening.
Are there any other problems in the city that she's been ignoring?
This guy's happy to gossip about the Raven cults. There's always been Raven cultists, and some people in the city are like, yeah, it's they're just basically they're like Mormons, or Jehovah's Witnesses. They come around and knock on the door, and you just kind of shake your head.
Yeah, but if like Raven cultists come to my door today, and I had to tell them I wasn't interested.
Yeah, and it's like, can I come in and have you heard the word of the Raven Queen?
Like, no,
come in
get
and
out
tell
of here.
you about.
And they just start cawing.
Yeah.
Get out! You shoot them with a broom, and they just start. Yeah. Like, and they just run away. Yeah, so like people are sort of like, yeah, the Raven cult, whatever. There's just some crazy beliefs that some people have. But then, what was that?
That was a motorcycle doing weird revving.
Oh, it came through your speaker and it sounded like a printer going or something.
Jeez, no, that was outside the window.
Landing.
Yeah, it's that season. All of the jackasses are out in their motor vehicles now. But so yeah, the thing is, the Raven cult has gotten particularly powerful lately. Like they're actually having some political sway within the Merchant Guild and other local bodies, and it's annoying, and she hasn't done anything about it. It helps. It's one of the things that helps to fuel the rumors that she's actually influenced by or part of the Raven cult. But this whole thing with the barbarians, which only started recently, is particularly bad. Like, it's really shocking that nobody is like rallying troops together. Like, there's been, the nobles of the city, of course, have their own personal forces, and they've been working to some degree with the city guard to like defend the city. Like when there have been raids that have tried to actually penetrate into the city of Ravenfall, they have failed because they've been like pushed back because there's actual standing troops here. But no one's like getting a sortie together to go out and like take out these damn barbarians. Like they don't have like towers and castles and defenses.
And normally that's their job.
Yeah, so why? Yeah. Especially now, the big thing, of course, is like the whole agreement in the north is that the city, the armies of the north, can be rallied by the king to like band together and would utterly crush something like these barbarian raiders. But there's been no sort of like, there was one little sortie from Karsh that came up north to Stormhill and then got pretty much like immediately defeated by raiders, and now there's a sort of hole up holding the keep, and that's it, and just letting the city fall, or the town. But that's not like rallying the cities of the north, the armies of the north. That isn't like going, hey, sea captains of Evermere put the armada together and ferry, the wizards of Direwin or of Dwimmerdale and the soldiers of Direwin and Karsh to come up north and start marching. So it's just nobody really understands why nothing's being done, other than maybe some big plan is happening.
That's because they're cursed.
Yeah, well, they don't know that.
No.
They're hoping it's a plan, probably.
Yeah.
Would make
there's
sense.
There's a lot of people who are like, oh, this is because they're, it takes time to get the. It's like how people were talking.
Takes a long time to.
It's like how people were talking during the Mueller report. They're like, they'll eventually there'll be something done, and then it came out, and it was like, no, we're not going to do anything. No. We're past our break time. I actually got distracted there. Do we want to pause here?
Sure.
Sure.
Take like a 10-minute break and then pick it back up again.
Sounds good.
All right. We will see you all in about 10.
Okay.